I'm back. My internet has returned. They tried to silence me, but it didn't work. Verizon only took 3 days to get back online. But I wanted to talk about the Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max after, we'll call it about 3 months at this point. And it seems to be pretty well received, seems to be doing well, and that seems to be annoying the heck out of the internet, especially Twitter and enthusiasts and Android fans and all the rest of it, because it's a recipe that isn't meant for us. It isn't meant for the people who are watching a bunch of videos on phones. It's a recipe that's worked for them for 15 plus years now on the phones, and it's meant to give the consumer the front end features that they want. And when you think about it, I've never complained about an iPhone display. I've never sat there and said, you know what, this is a dull display, this is a bad display. Even when the competition was offering OLED panels, the LCDs, the Retina displays on the Apple devices still were competitive. And you go back to the 90s, their PowerBooks, even you go back to the original Mac displays that they'd shipped, always excellent, always punching above their weight. That's something that I love personally, and I crow about this all the time on the Android devices. You use the display 100% of the time that you're using the device. 100% of the time. It's not a camera feature. It's not super zoom. It's not all this AI stuff that now we're talking about with the Pixel 8 and now the S24 Ultra. It's stuff front end, right in your face things that they focus on, that they do really well, that equals consumer success. Display being one of them. Battery life. Now, this took them a little bit longer than usual to come around to, but battery life on these devices has been excellent. My Pro Max battery is getting my iPhone 13 Pro-esque battery life, which was absolutely insane. You could sit there, I think 2 hours of navigation the other day, whatever else, streaming, all that stuff on here because I didn't have internet, so I was using the heck out of my phone, and I was still ending the day 40%. No problems whatsoever. After 6 hours or so of screen on time. And that's something that people notice. It's something that you don't have to know anything about SoCs. You don't have to know anything about RAM. You don't know anything about the titanium and all the rest of it that's on here, always on displays. You don't have to know anything about anything to sit there and realize that your phone has battery life left at the end of the day. And that's comforting for consumers. You don't have to know anything about display technologies to look at something and know it's bright enough and know the colors are good. And the fact that it took Google a decade to come around on that is boggling, mind-boggling to me. That's why it's frustrating. People don't always like it, but that's why Apple and the iPhone are that successful, because of the things that they choose to focus on. The build quality is good. The version of iOS on here, I couldn't even tell you what the different numbers of iOS are. iOS 7 stuck out in my mind. There's a few that stick out here and there, but I could go back through every single version of Android, all the way back to whatever number you want to come up with, and tell you what kind of the advancements were, what was special about it, and what was going on with that particular version of Android. I couldn't do that with iOS. We're on 17 now? Okay, great. Now how did that differentiate from 16, 15, all the way back? It's boring, but it's boring for a reason. And it's nondescript for a reason. Because if it's the story, that's a problem. That's why last year it was so weird with iOS 16 for iOS to actually be the story. Because it's the first time in a while that maybe it's because they tried to put too much on here. Maybe they tried to do too much. Maybe they tried to emulate too many of those Android features that everybody was clamoring for. But it caused issues. And they immediately pulled back on that. They immediately got a handle on that. And iOS 17, 16, they've got a lot better. Got a lot better towards the end. And then iOS 17 now is pretty solid, and we're back to it. Is it bug-free? Absolutely not. But the bugs that you get on an iOS device are often, I was using it in the full moon, and I tried to do mail at the same time. I was trying to edit a video, and then it crashed on me. That's the type of stuff that you get. It's not front-end stuff where the face unlock doesn't work. Or I try to open an app and it crashes constantly. For the most part, you don't get that on iOS devices. Why? And it comes back to the same question over and over and over again. Why is that? Because you don't have to know anything about technology to know whether your phone's running right or not. To know whether Instagram loads up or crashes all the time. To know whether the operating system is just lagging through. That's why it's frustrating, but that's why it works. And Google now if you're paying attention, they're not going to be focused too much on specs and this, that, and the other thing. They're focused on what? Display. They even got a name for their display now. Super Action Display. They got the display, they got the AI stuff, and they got just a smooth version of Android that's just buttery this year on the Pixel 8 Pro, even though it's not as high-end as something like an S23 Ultra. Why? Because the front-end user experience is what sells phones, and it's what keeps people coming back. When you get those consumer surveys out there, consumer satisfaction survey, Google was at the bottom. No, everybody was looking to get rid of their Google phones. Why? Because the front-end stuff didn't work. The fingerprint sensor didn't work. Bluetooth would break. Wi-Fi would break. Battery overheating. Poor battery life. All the rest of it. When you look at the other side, when you look at the Apple iPhone, that stuff, for the most part, doesn't happen. And if it does happen, it's corrected quickly. Because they know that's what sells phones. For the majority of people, the people walking into their carrier services and looking around and walking into the AT&T store and the Verizon store and all the rest of it and saying, you know what, I would pay my $35 a month. I want a white phone. That's what I want. I want, that white titanium, gorgeous. I want a blue phone. That's the extent of the choice that they're making. This is the phone they come out with. And as far as the iPhone 15 Pro Max is concerned, this year, Apple's done a phenomenal job. And that's why you're not hearing a lot of crying about it. Except from enthusiasts who are crying about this, that, and the other thing, and it doesn't do this and all the rest of it. And how can they possibly charge that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the things that they focus on, with the support, with everything else, are what matters to 95% of people. And I know that's a bit of a cop-out. Oh, you just say regular people, whatever. It's a business. This is about money. Apple doesn't have billions and billions of dollars to sit on because they make stupid decisions that don't sell phones. And that's part of the deal. It's what makes them so successful. And I think that if you're in the market for something like this, and if you've been waiting, if you had an iPhone 13 and you heard some of the horror stories, if you had an iPhone 12 right now and you're suffering through that battery life, this is the phone that you want to pick up. It's lighter, so you can make the upgrade. If you had Pros in the past, just the regular size, the 6.1 inch, you can absolutely upgrade to this because it is significantly lighter in the hand, which makes a difference. The Pro Maxes were chunky devices, heavy to carry. So that's something that you can consider. But all the front end stuff is here. If you're an iOS fan, if you're somebody who just loves the way it looks, loves the way it operates, if you're used to the Apple ecosystem, this is your flagship. And this is what you should be getting. It didn't move the needle. It's not going to pull you over from Android. It's not going to get you away from your Pixel or your S23 Ultra. But it's not going to scare you away either. It's not going to do enough to say, you know what, I want to see what the other side's got going on. None of that here. This is the phone that you get if you're looking to be re-energized a bit about the Apple ecosystem and iPhones. Because I do think it's one of the best phones of the year. It's the best running phone. Love the design. You want to say it's old. You want to say it's played out. That's fine. They do it well. The titanium works. It's light. I had no issues with it. If you do want to protect it, Case Bourne's got you covered. Carl sent these over. Love the build. Love the material. Love the fact that it's a rugged case, but keeps it relatively thin. Doesn't add a lot of bulk. I've been using it. You also got the little kickstand here. Carl always does good stuff. Case Bourne link for this will be in the description as well. So thanks for that, sending that one over. But camera, video, all that stuff that you'd want in a device is fantastic. I use my when I'm doing a desk straight down, top down shot like this. It's always filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Why? Because it does the best video. Does the best video. If you're a content creator, you get a big screen like this. You get a lot to like here in the iPhone 15 Pro Max this year, and it's running really well after 3 months. And it's good to see Apple get back to basics a little bit and understand what's made them successful. And it's the fact that they don't upset the apple cart with things that you're going to notice consistently. It's things that when you just are using the phone in your daily life and just doing stuff that you're going to do, social media, WhatsApp, all the rest of it, texting, that stuff's got to work, and it does. You know, when you start to get into, well, AirDrop's a little slow and this, that, and the other thing, and that's the stuff that people will complain about, that's not affecting most people. So I don't care. So it doesn't get the attention that you think it should. But Apple knows where the attention should be, and that's why they sell more of these than any other phone in the world. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.